Welcome, Impactful Parents. It's time for the Impactful Parenting Podcast, where I give you parenting tips and resources to make you a more impactful parent to your school-age child. I am your host, Kristina Campos. Welcome, Impactful Parents. Today, we're going to talk about a parent's guide of how money works for kids. Hello, my name is Kristina Campos. I'm founder of The Impactful Parent, and I help parents of school-age children turn their chaos into connection with their adolescent. I offer parent education videos every week, online courses, and coaching. And if that wasn't enough, I bring experts in on other fields to the Impactful Parent stage to teach us even more. And today we have a special guest. His name is Jorge Loyo. And Jorge has been a financial advisor for over 16 years. He helps families figure out an action plan to be able to save, invest, and be ready for the future, no matter what that looks like in our families. He also specializes in this special thing where he has a map. It's a money action plan. So today I have Jorge on to talk about his parent guide that he made that explains how money works for kids. So I'm excited to have him here today. Thank you for being here, Jorge.
Thank you, Kristina, for having me. I'm excited to have this conversation today.
All right. The first question I'm going to ask is, all right, how money works for kids? What are kids here? What age are we talking about?
Every parent should start talking to the kids about money as early as possible. The younger, the better. I think it should be one of those conversations that should happen at the kitchen table openly. So it's not really an ideal age. I think that as early as we can, it's a conversation that should be had at home.
So the things that we'll talk about today, as young as in the very, very young children to our teenagers also?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, as we advance in age and we get to the teenage stage, we can address more complex concepts with them, but the basics of budgeting and learning the value of money and differentiating the needs versus the wants, these are all things that at a very young age they can learn to identify and start building the right habits.
Where do we begin? We're at the kitchen table. We're talking to our kids. Maybe I even have multiple kids. I got a 6-year-old and let's say a 10-year-old sitting at my table. Where do I start?
Well, I think that we can start by, first of all, as parents, we need to be able to recognize and identify that our kids, from an early age, they're constantly being bombarded by products and services and advertisers who are spending billions of dollars each year in trying to convince kids that they need that new game, that they need that new upgrade to the games, and so. At a very young age, our kids are getting bombarded by marketing and advertising. And as parents, first of all, before we even embark on this conversation, we need to recognize that that's what's happening and how do we deal with it. So first of all, I would say step number one at the kitchen table is talk it out. We need to talk to our kids. It's funny how we all go to school and we all go to school to learn how to make money. But we're not really properly educated on what to do with money once we get out of college. So it's simple conversations. They don't have to be overly complicated to just help our kids develop healthy money attitudes and money habits. Yeah. So first of all, I think that as parents, we need to check the money mirror because as you're well aware of, our kids pick up on the parents' behaviors and attitudes when it comes to work and social and financial. So the first thing that we got to do, where do we begin? Is we got to take a hard look at the mirror and decide what habits we want our kids to adopt, and when it comes to money habits, and then actually exhibit those yourself, right? So number one is we can talk to them that money isn't free. You have to work for it. In easy examples like going to the supermarket and I want, picking stuff up. I want this, I want that, and filling the cart. It's not as easy. I mean, I can tell you how many times we go to the supermarket and not so much anymore. But when we were little, my kids would say, Dad, buy this, or Mom, buy this, buy that, and buy the other. And we stopped really carrying cash. And the idea was, well, just put the card. There was no understanding of what that meant, that there's money behind it. So number one, I think is we need to teach our kids and emphasize the value of money, that they have to work for it. Now, the way to do that is make them work for it. Maybe some chores, maybe some things that they can learn that, oh my God, do I really want to spend this? Because it took me 3 hours to earn this. And recognize that value. It's one of the first things that we should look at. Another thing is learning to pay yourself first. If as parents, we make money and the first thing we do is pay everyone else, and we are not saving for ourselves, you're not considering yourself a bill per se, then you cannot expect your kids to become savers. You cannot expect your kids to become investors if you yourself are not exhibiting that behavior. Uh, Another thing that you can look into is debt and the habit of giving. It's not all about accumulating money and wealth and material things. It's also about giving. So if you want your kids to be able to have enough and give, you have to exhibit those behaviors. So all of that is step number one, is recognize that our kids are bombarded by advertisers. And how do you avoid it is you need to look in the mirror. You cannot expect is do as I do, not do as I say type of mentality, and show them, exhibit what you want them to adopt as their habits when it comes to handling money. And you need to speak openly about money with kids. You don't have to go into deep detail about debt and this and family financials, but it is important that you do discuss with your kids the financials of the home and what it takes to run a home and what it costs to run a couple of things, so they understand that it's just money doesn't grow on trees, literally. And last thing I would say in looking at yourself in the mirror, it's keeping priorities straight. In your priorities, I mean, we need to show them that money is not more important than family, is not more important than friends. Money is just a tool, and so keeping those priorities and making sure that money falls second to everything else, it's, I think, also a good thing to do. So that's where I'll start. How about that?
Yeah, no, that's a great start for our parents because a lot of times it's really hard to look in the mirror, and it's such an important part of parenting is the role modeling, because like you said, parents learn so much more, oh sorry, children learn so much more by watching what the parents do and mimicking those behaviors than anything that we
Mhm.
say. Like just anything that we do, if we have a horribly messy room and then we're asking our child to go clean up their room, they won't listen to us. Why? Because they watch what we do over what we say. So
Yeah,
it's really important.
100%.
But a lot of parents have blocks with money. When you're looking in the mirror, you're going to
Yeah.
find that. For one block I know I had to really get over was a scarcity mindset, in that I don't have enough, and I never had enough money. Why? My parents modeled that for me growing up, that they were always
Yeah.
scrambling. So I learned that money is something you have to scramble for. So when we look in the mirror and we find that we have some of these habits maybe that we don't want to pass down to our kids, how do we break that?
If we can solve that, we can solve many things.
Right.
Well, you mentioned at the beginning that I have a MAP, MAP, and what that stands for is, it's money action plan, but really the M also stands for mindset. And I think that the most important thing, as you address, our behavior around money and our belief around money comes from what we experienced when we were younger, from our parents, from our environment, from everything that we saw. And so I think understanding, becoming aware, and shifting our mindset from scarcity to abundance, it's important. So the first step is to accept we have a problem and that we need to fix it. And we need to. It's one of those things that sometimes I like to tell people is not about a product or a person. It's about having a team and a strategy. And sometimes, especially when it comes to the self-awareness and the mindset piece, especially related to money, this is where it's very important to have a team in your corner. Uh, Personal finance is a team sport. It's easy to do, but it's also very easy not to do. And this is where step number one for somebody who maybe is experiencing those blocks and obstacles mentally. First thing is you got to seek out help. You got to talk to a professional. If something hurts in your body, you go see a doctor. Once a year, you go see your tax person for taxes. And money is one of those areas of our lives that we think about it every single day. And for most people, it's not an exciting thing to think about because it's about, is the bill, is it this? Where else can I reduce my costs? Where else can I cut on my budget? And the reality is that you can only cut so much. But the solution is maybe you just need to make more money. Maybe you just need to shift your mindset. And so those things, you definitely need to enlist the help of more than just yourself. The first person, if you have a life partner, the first person you got to talk to is your life partner, because it's very simple to kind of drift apart when it comes to financial struggles. If as a couple, as parents, life partners, if you are not in sync with goals, and in particular in this case financial goals, if one is a saver and the other one's a spender, then you're always going to be tugging in different directions, and that's always going to create some type of friction. So number one, talk to your partner, be open about it. Don't create conflict, but have that conversation about, let's set financial goals and compromises to make sure that we move on together and move up together. And beyond our partner, then we need to seek the help of professionals. Having a team in your corner that's an investment advisor, that is a tax advisor, that's maybe a estate planning attorney, all of these things that sometimes people feel like, man, but that's for rich people. No, that's for all people. And sometimes we seek out the help when it's now too late. You got to do preventive medicine when it comes to financial planning. You have to do preventive planning. So that's what I would do. First step, I would seek out help. First conversation with our partners, first with ourselves, then with our partners, and then expand that circle, including other professionals that can help us determine goals, strategies, and next steps.
I love that. It's such good role modeling to do that, to be able to ask for help and to have your children see that the financial thing, sometimes it's a team, it's not just you. That's great. Now let's get on to a little bit older of a kid, and we have our emerging teenagers, and we're trying to teach them about money. But one thing I found as a parent that was really difficult for me to explain is debt. How do you do that with a child when they just, like you said, see the little plastic thing in your hand and that just generates all the money, right? And you're like, no, there's debt there that happens. So you want to catch that early, obviously, so that they're not in college learning about debt. So how do we do that?
The first time that I got a credit card was in college. I was walking out of the library and I had two credit card companies who gave me one a coffee mug, the other one a hat, and I got two credit cards and no instruction manual. I just, plastic, swipe, swipe, swipe. Credit limit kept increasing. I thought that meant that I was just more responsible. I'm an adult. They trust me enough that they keep increasing my limit, and that just turned into me becoming a slave to the credit card companies because I was working just to pay the minimum payments. But to address the question, I think that you need to talk to them. We need to talk to our kids about debt way before they can be put in a position to acquire debt. Now, how do you do that? Because when you're in your teens, there are companies, you can go to the bank and get a minor debit card. There are some companies out there where you can get a minor debit card or credit card to add them there to show them how to start building credit and all that. You can do all that. But I think it's the initial conversation should be to teach them how debt works. So for example, borrowing money. This is one of the common issues that kids have, right? So how do you address that before getting into debt? Get your kids used to paying back what they borrow early. Mom, Dad, can I borrow $6 for a cinnamon roll? That was my son yesterday. Sure, send them the money. Well, this is I'm lending you this money, and show them how to pay it back fast. To get in the habit of eliminating that quickly. On the flip side, sometimes your kids carrying cash, you don't have any cash, you need a quick cash to pay something real quick. Hey, you have cash? Yes. Can I borrow it? Well, if as the parent you're taking money from your child to pay something, get in the habit of paying it back quickly with interest. Why? Because it shows them, oh, money works. Like money is working. If I give money, I should expect more. If I'm borrowing, I should expect to pay more because there's that interest element to it. So if you start doing that at an early age, by the time they get into credit card, they understand that if I'm going to spend, $100 on this item, I should expect to pay more than $100. And if they already have that understanding pre-teen, then it's just a matter of coaching them along the way because it can get, I mean, not only kids right now, but instant gratification generation, right? We want everything now, now, now. We want it yesterday. So if you can get a child to, number one, to separate the needs versus wants and delay the pain, but if they get into debt, to build the habit of paying it fast. And if we are seeing that our kids are getting too deep into the rabbit hole of getting into debt, rein it in. Say, nope, stop. Now let's put you on a payment plan. If we can start doing that at an early age, I think that is going to save them hours of agony in the future. So that's what I would do.
I like that suggestion. And it's just about seizing the teachable moment as parents. Sometimes I think we don't think about it. It's not on our mind. Make it a teachable moment when the kid's like saying, can I get one of this? And they're at the store and you're just like, no, it's so much easier just to say no. But those are teachable moments and we need to
Yeah.
seize those as parents. I think that's a great idea.
I was just gonna bring up one other point, which is the opposite, because we have some children that are savers, and some kids take money and they don't want to give it away. They want to just save, and it is great. And some parents were like, proud, my son doesn't want to spend money. He or she's is a saver. That's good. Yes and no, it is, but up to a point. Because if they just save and save and save, then they have a very hard time giving away some of the money to in exchange for value in one shape or another. That can create, the issue is greed, right? And we need to identify that and show them that money by itself, sitting somewhere, is not necessarily doing anything. Money is a tool and it has to be used. And if used properly, it can create wealth, it can create good things for you. But by just hoarding money, that's also a thing that most parents, this goes without being recognized. And it's also an issue. We got to show our kids that the money is a tool. And so if you see your kid that is just saving, never wants to give it away, he'll have money, but still borrow money from you. We just got to be able to recognize, first of all, there's one big issue, especially with children, which is losing money. How many times have we given money for gifts, birthdays, and oops, they carry around cash, and I forgot where to put it, and money is not replaceable. So if it gets lost or stolen, so we got to just make sure that we show them where the money goes, that there's a safe place. Maybe there's a minor bank account or things like that. We got to just show them where the money goes.
I'm laughing at myself because along the lines of losing money, I have children that do that and it drives me crazy. And I'm the mom, this is a little controversial, but I'm the mom that if I find your money they were in your pockets and you put them in the laundry, I consider it
a
tip.
Mine.
It's mine.
Yep.
In real life, if somebody finds your money, guess what? Chances are you're not going to get it back.
That's right.
And personally, they don't know, but I might take that money and put it to the side so that if they need it later or whatever, I'm not actually going into my own, or, maybe they earn it back and things like that. But it is one of the things that I use as an impactful parent to try to teach my kids, keep track of your money. Don't leave it laying around. And all those great things that happen when kids are.
Which leads to budget basics, right? As adults, who gets excited to wake up on a Saturday and say, honey, let's budget today? Nobody is excited about doing that. But it's one of those things like eating healthy and exercising. You have to do it. And if we don't teach our kids to build the habit of identifying their income and their expenses, whether it's just an allowance or a chore or the little summer job, grandparents pay them to mow the lawn, whatever it is, if they don't keep track of their ins and their outs, then they're not going to be great at budgeting and reining in their expenses in the future either.
Now, you made is that a pamphlet that is going to help parents that will be available to them?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something that has been compiled that has great ideas, tips, things that can equip the parents to be able to teach their kids how to handle money, how to learn some of the concepts, maybe some examples, some tips, some exercises that they can practice with their kids to teach them how to budget and save and invest and give. Simple concepts, learning allowance basics and learning how to pay yourself first. I think that's one of the most important concepts that you can teach somebody in how saving is linked to your expenses. Obviously, if you have less expenses, you can save more. Where's the money going? Savings, identifying where the money should be going, because money has different purposes: short, immediate, short, and long term, right? 3 buckets mainly. So this document basically talks about all these topics, whether it's saving, investing, debt, budgeting, but in such a way that it's, in my opinion, is very easy to read, understand, and for the parents who are looking to improve themselves, become better teachers, and exhibiting better habits for their kids, I think it's a tremendous tool.
I love it. Thank you so much for allowing the Impactful Parent audience to have this freebie. And if they want to learn more from you, where can they get a hold of you?
So they can reach out to me, jorgeloyo.com. That's my first and last name.com. They can definitely just reach out to me there. Also, they can find me on Instagram, coach.loyo, and that's where I can be found.
And parents, Jorge's freebie is going to be right inside the Impactful Parent app underneath the video so that you can find it and download it and then take advantage of this amazing financial coach who's going to help you teach your kids all about money. Thank you for listening today. Remember to subscribe and share this podcast with a friend. And don't forget, the Impactful Parenting Podcast is an extension of the Impactful Parent community. Go to the Impactful Parent website and download the free Impactful Parent app so you don't miss a parenting tip that can help you and your family. Thanks for listening today. So go to theimpactfulparent.com and see you next episode.